Hey everybody, welcome to Weightlifting.ai YouTube channel. I'm Max Aita. This is Joshua Gibson, my sports scientist, and we are going to review Team Italy's training camp today. Okay.
All right, so I think we're going to see a few of the most popular weightlifters in weightlifting.
Yeah.
And that's Giulia and Nino.
Yeah. And look at this. Surprise, surprise.
Look at that fancy cut.
Definitely the best training app out there.
I don't think it was on screen long enough.
Yeah, so here's Giulia Imperio, 49 kilos. This is at the European Championships this year, 2022. And she did pretty well. I wouldn't say amazing, but did pretty well. And then Nino absolutely rocked the shit out of Carlos Nassar at that meet. It wasn't that bad, but it was a solid defeat.
Well,
so.
I feel like the coaching from Team Italy and the performance from Nino just superior.
Yeah.
Like through and through, Team Italy was the better country.
Yeah, I would say if I watch her technique, I would say it's like most of it's really good, but I would give her lockout like a 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's just so strong, so positive, just so just awesome.
Yeah, and then we have Nino warming up with some front squats, eerily similar to Carlos's workout.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he just copied it.
Do you think he's going to miss a triple?
Maybe they have the same remote coach and he's just copy and pasting the program.
I think it's actually Travis Mash.
It could be. Ooh, shots fired. He won't watch this though.
He won't.
So those are interesting little hang power snatches there. I wonder how much that's just a little primer for what she's going to do later.
Yeah.
Some front squats from her, not on anyone impressive.
So you were actually at Europeans.
Yeah, I was.
So how was it watching those two live?
It was good. I mean, live was amazing. She was great to watch. She did, really solid lifting, just good technique all around. It was fun. Kind of one of the favorites, so there's a bigger audience cheering. Easy to commentate on. Nino's session was insane. It was just like so much energy and adrenaline, and every lift was such a big deal. Plus we had the camera in the back room, which was really fun to see. Yeah. We could get this kind of like play-by-play action.
And what a lot of people don't know about Nino is he's been on the scene for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like Nino's been lifting for a really long time and just finally has broken through the last few years to being considered the best in Europe.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the best in the world.
It'll be interesting. We got him, Carlos again, the rematch. Carlos will be a little bit older, and then Tian Tao in the 89. So that's going to be a bloodbath. Could be that Tian Tao makes 2 lifts and wins. Could be that Nino just crushes people with a 6-for-6 day.
Yeah.
So
the one thing we do notice about the Italians is they have a really great pull under.
Yeah.
Do you think that's exercise selection, just how they were taught initially? Like, what do you think allows them to do that so well?
I think so. We see them doing quite a bit of hang snatching. Not that nobody else does that, but we just watched the last lifter doing some really snappy, casual, 140 plus high hang snatches.
Right.
I think the more you emphasize those kind of movements, the more confidence you can have with overall, speed on the bar.
Yeah.
215 front squat. Yeah. I would imagine this is pretty easy because he clean and jerk more than this.
He clean and jerk 217. Yeah. He's taking it for more than one rep.
Yeah. So strong.
So smooth. Positions are so great.
Yeah. You'll notice too, he's got that road worker shirt on there in case anyone comes through here. It's going to be clearly obvious that he's doing work.
Right.
Bright green.
So we have a 59 front squat and 115.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Pretty strong front squat.
I would say Team Italy in general, across the board, has come up quite a bit. The quality of lifting they have is really good. I know years ago they had a Bulgarian coach, I want to say Yuri Gardev, went there and coached. I don't know how much of his influence exists in the current system, but they've definitely elevated themselves as an entire country and team over the last, I'd say 6-7 years. Right. They've started to come up quite a bit.
So they're all doing high hang powers.
The girls are. The two girls are. The other guy was doing fulls. Yeah.
So imagine this is a staple exercise. And do you think they use it for the same reasons that Team China uses it? Because they are also huge proponents.
Yeah, probably. I think there's a lot of merit to be given to doing a lot of high hang work or hang work. Shameless plug for the Italy shirt. Actually a pretty cool shirt.
And you can still buy it and use code PhilWL for 10% off.
Wow, slick. That's why I brought him. That's what the scientist part is. But yeah, overall, like I think, yeah, probably they really emphasize that speed under the bar. I would say that's something I neglected for a long time, was like the high hang, that kind of work.
Do you think you get the same effect from like a power position snatch too?
Yeah, it's similar.
Okay.
I think the power positions one's kind of funky because like you can do it where you like do a little dip.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many years ago like people would just like talk shit about football players doing that kind of thing, and now it's like a staple in a lot of people's programs. So
right.
Potentially, I think the confidence and psychological part's big.
Okay, so he went down to 205. He was doing straight sets at 215.
Yeah.
I wonder if the bar speed he's actually doing more reps now. So
a little down set there, maybe.
Yeah, down set. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was something we used to do a lot. Would be like our top single, then we drop down and do like a one all-out set. He didn't go as we could have done more there, but
the Bulgarians went to maximum. The Italians did not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Carlos missed the squat. Nino made all of his. So pretty easy 180.
Cristiano, yeah, 89. Clean jerk 180.
God, look at those pulls.
The pulls look great.
So this is interesting because this is something that you'd see at Europeans from a lot of teams, Germans, Russians. They do a lot of like pulls, and then you'd see a lot of pulls right around that 100% of the snatch mark.
Right.
And it kind of makes sense. Obviously, you're gonna distort the technique less there. They probably don't need to pull anything super heavy. Whereas you see the Chinese in these training halls, like they'll be doing like snatch deadlifts, like backs rounding and just like all out efforts. But we saw Carlos do the same. He did some pulls in one of these videos a while back. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Well, and I think too, a lot of the context for what they're doing is what have they done.
Yeah.
So Team China do a lot of heavy pulls, rounded back pulls, flat back pulls. So pulling a heavy single in a training hall is like such a reduction in training load.
Yeah.
I think someone might see Carlos miss and they're like, oh, why would you do that? You're this many days out. But the reality of it is he probably misses so much in training.
Yeah. Yeah. Carlos probably misses more than some people do in their entire training volume.
I was going to say, it'd actually be interesting to know how much he misses.
He might not. I mean, not all of them, not everybody trains like that, Some people just really, they miss a lot, some don't.
Yeah.
My guess is like the Italian team only have they probably have less frequent heavy sessions.
Yeah.
Right? Like we just saw that session was just Nino working up in a front squat. Right? Now he's going to do his little snatch session here. The assumption would probably be that he's not going to go to absolute max all the time in training. And so you can probably see that kind of thing more obvious here.
I wonder when a lot of these lifters got their start in weightlifting. Because they all look so
He
natural.
just started 2 weeks ago.
Did he?
2 weeks before this meet, yeah.
He just did a local meet.
He just missed 70.
Oh, I think he saved
he made
his
that
legs.
one. He made that one, yeah. Leave a comment and let me know how stupid I am. Yeah, these are pretty good. I mean, this is pretty standard training for a lot of teams. A lot of guys or a lot of teams have the same kind of program where you see pretty moderate training the first couple of days when they get in, and then they just start to ramp up. They might have if you're lucky, 2 heavy training sessions before the competition. Lucky as in a viewer to get to see some of that, but a lot of times they'll fly in and they'll have maybe a couple light sessions and then 1 heavy session up to probably openers or maybe a max session, and then they move on.
Yeah.
There he is doing those high hangs again.
Yeah, and I think he's going pretty heavy on that today.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting too, you look at just we talked about this before with other lifters, but just how methodical some of them are.
Yeah.
I would say the majority of good lifters at those levels are very methodical. They approach the work like it's a job. They show up, they're, whatever their warm-up is, whatever's written down, they're just executing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of probably showing up and just kind of winging it and I'll just go to whatever feels good today.
And I think to your point too, the way they drop the bar between reps is they know when they're going to drop it. They know when they're going to, everything's thought through. It's not hey, should I drop the bar on this one or should I stand up every rep? I think their entire session, they know almost exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
That whole crew showed up to watch her squat.
Really?
No, I'm just... I mean, they may have. They may all just pretend, the Armenians are all there kind of pretending to be watching. That's a very easy 140.
What I do notice is, like, what I like to look at as a coach watching lifts is the position of the shoulders.
Yeah.
And I notice with them, when they pull, the shoulders they start a little more upright, but they hold that position as long as they can.
Yeah. Yeah, the Italians too, like we talk about like the difference between Carlos and Nino in the Snatch book, in the Weightlifter's Guide to the Snatch, the book you and I wrote.
Yeah.
We talk about the difference between them, just the way they execute the movements, but Nino, in my opinion, is not better. It's just more traditional, where he's over the bar so much more. He does get the bar a little far away from his legs in his heaviest snatches.
He does.
But you can just see there's so much more of a, I want to say like accuracy to that kind of lifting.
Yeah.
It's more predictable. When you get way behind the bar, you just inevitably interject some horizontal movement to the bar path, and that the more horizontal movement there is, the more unpredictable it's going to be. How much velocity is there on it? Is the bar going to swing back too much? It's going to kick out too far forward?
Right.
But you watch these guys and they're just like so methodical, so crisp in their lifting.
Is that one of those situations where with Nino you would teach people to bias that extreme versus Carlos's extreme, where he gets hips shoot up, he gets really behind the bar and shoves his hips forward, versus staying over a little bit more, letting the bar get a little away from the legs to exaggerate it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like one of those questions of like the personality of the lifter. If that person is really aggressive and they just thrive off of that kind of energy and their technique's a little bit more wild, like trying to suppress their personality and make them more methodical and stuff might just be counterproductive, and they just won't thrive in that environment. So, to some degree, like their technique is going to be influenced by the personality of the lifter. You know, like if you're a thoughtful, methodical kind of person, like having you trying to bang your head against the wall to snatch a weight or do 10 or 15 attempts at something, is just not going to work.
So we saw him go up to a 150 hang snatch, and then he came down for a 140 power hang triple, where he cycled every rep.
Yep.
Have you ever like programmed that in or coached someone to do that?
I've never really like programmed that in. I mean, it's one of those things. It's probably a little more nuanced, right? I think like I don't know what the long-term training effect of doing that is. It's also the kind of thing where like that's a pretty lightweight for him, right? This dude snatching
140 is light.
Yeah. So he can kind of just go through it. It's not a bad movement. I wouldn't say that it's like something like, oh, definitely we're not doing that because it seems weird.
Yeah.
But again, I try to be open-minded about those things. I try to be in a place where it's like, can we get something out of this? So
yeah,
cool. If you guys like that video, go ahead and check out the rest of what we have on weightlifting.ai, YouTube, and we will see you for the next one.